well, today's situation has a certain influence on how we do it. We for two symposiums we would do it in Moscow face to face in the Moscow City Pedagogical University, but doing it online within the fourth international symposium. And now we cannot hear. I'm sorry, now the sound is off here. Now we are talking about the education. Last time we talked about the quality of life, and today we will talk about the quality education for modern cities. In our symposium today, there'll be representatives of 19 countries taking part: Russia, Ireland, Taiwan, India, Austria, Spain, Czech Republic, Belarus, and Tajikistan, Great Britain, Croatia, Greece, Cyprus, Poland, and a lot of other countries. With every new year, we are enlarging the spectrum of participants and researchers from different countries join us. There are two organizers also organizing the symposium. And for welcoming speech, I would like to invite Joe O'Hara, President of the European Association of the Education, the professor of the Quality Assessment Inspection of Dublin City University. Joe.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you.
Всем доброе утро.
Once again for the invitation to this fourth meeting together. It's one of the high points of, I think, our academic year now to meet with this expanding community of scholars and researchers from around the world to discuss issues that are relevant not only to the wider sense of what it means to do educational research in the 21st century, but to look at specifically through the lens of what it means to work in and with cities. And I think that that's what sets our community apart in one way, and yet also connects us to wider communities, because we're embedded in a context, in a geographic context, in a spatial context, but also in an intellectual context, where I think this conference explores the ideas and it explores the concepts that underpin what it means to be a living, breathing research community that exists within a defined set of relationships within cities. And it's one of the things that I think excites us in Dublin City University about this, that we have an opportunity to engage with other city universities and, of course, a wider and a broader diversity of educational communities, and to think about this. This year's conference and the theme, I think, is hugely important. And it's hugely important because of where we are in this extraordinary 18 months now of a global pandemic. Because it's thinking about two really important things. It's thinking about the idea of what it is to talk about quality. And quality is such a pivotal and such a centrally important idea for all of us within education. And it's one that in some ways has been challenged by the last 18 months, because many of the markers, many of the measures, many of the ways in which we spoke about quality before the pandemic, we've been forced to rethink them. We've been forced to rethink what it means to be a successful educator. We've been forced to rethink what it means to be a successful educational institution. For many, it was the relentless attempts to continually improve against set metrics of national and international bodies. And that was a very legitimate and still remains a very legitimate way of speaking and measuring about what we do. But at another side, I think what we've realized in the last year to 18 months is that education is also about relationships. It's about the critically important interpersonal and supportive relationships that allow ourselves as academic colleagues, but also the students we work with, to enhance and develop their own capacities in a supportive environment. And we've been challenged to think about what does it mean to have quality relationships when many of the other foundational structures that we've been all come used to disappear. And I think that's been very important. And then the third thing, I suppose, is the idea of the modern city. I think we're recognizing that the modern city is vitally important and it's a changing reality. And during the COVID pandemic, our understanding of what cities are and the way they work and how we come together in them has changed. The very fact that this is the second year we've spoken to each other is very important in relation to that. Just in relation to DCU's engagement with the conference, I think for us, we're very aware and we're very delighted with the relationship we continue to develop with colleagues in Moscow City University. It's a relationship that began 4 years ago. It began before that, but it was formalized in this 4 years ago. But it's really expanding now. There's those core interpersonal relationships that we've been lucky enough to create, but it has also developed into a research relationship through European Union funding. And some of the presentations later on will be based on the EU Erasmus Plus projects we're currently working on, which I think demonstrates the capacity of a conference such as this to bring us to a different type of relationship and a different type of creation in terms of how we understand what we're doing. I also think that we're allowed to think about what we as modern universities and cities bring to the overall idea of being educational researchers. DCU, like our colleagues in Taipei, and I know in Moscow as well, we're an evolving institution and we don't stop. And that's because in some ways we serve a city that doesn't stop, and we serve a broader community that doesn't stop. And it's how we develop the idea of being a university in a city in a changing culture and context that to me is one of the most interesting aspects of this. For example, in DCU this year, one of our priorities is looking at the Sustainable Development Goals and how we think about embedding those into the work that we do within our community, whether it be around diversity, gender, the whole range of areas that the SDGs cover. And this has become a very important focal point to us as we think about this. And I know colleagues around the world are thinking the same thing. And I think this platform gives us the opportunity to share what we learn and what we think about in these areas in a very unique way and with a very unique set of students or a very unique set of colleagues. The other aspect I think is really important to us, and we'll see it in some of my colleagues who present later on, is the involvement of our emerging research community. This isn't just old grey-haired people like me speaking at it. There is a sense that there's a dynamic younger population as well of researchers who are of course the future of this field, of our field, and how we bring and how we mentor and how we encourage and how we support the early career research community. And putting my other hat on as president of the European Educational Research Association, this is a critically important part of what we think as well. And we're very conscious when we think about going back to our theme of quality education and the modern city, we're very conscious of the challenges faced by early career researchers and our more junior colleagues as they try and progress in the academic sphere that's become increasingly less supportive of early career researchers in terms of career precarity and their capacity to develop a career pathway. And this is very much in the part of the world where I'm from and in other parts of the world too. So I think this is something that we're greatly looking forward to for the next couple of days. You all have the dubious pleasure of hearing me again in a few moments, so I won't speak for too long. But I do think that it's important as we begin and as we start with this conference that we think about the way this dynamic relationship has developed over the last number of years. And I look forward to seeing you again in the plenary session later on in the morning. So thank you very much.
Спасибо, Джо.
Thank you, Joe, for your welcoming word. Thank you for your cooperation in different directions, different venues in our work, and we are not saying goodbye to you now. There'll be a plenary session after this opening part, and we'll speak about the role of universities in the city, and Joe will be one of the speakers, and we will hear him more, and we'll ask him questions with pleasure and with interest. Thank you. And now I'm turning the floor to Sabina Tushunti, head of the management of our second co-organizer, the Taipei City University. Sabina is head of the International Cooperation Department.
Good day, Rector Dr. Remerenko, dear colleagues from Moscow City University, Dublin City University, and all the guests around the world. I am Sabina Chiang, Dean of International Affairs. On behalf of University of Taipei, I am honored to participate in the 4th Annual International Symposium. The topics on education and city, quality education for modern cities. University of Taipei and the Moscow City University concluded an agreement as partner institutions in April 2018. For the past 3 years, our exchange student program has been rapidly developed, and we have hosted symposiums annually, exploring educational issues from various perspectives. The symposium today is the 4th annual forum. It focuses on quality education for modern cities, which presents distinguishing feature of 2 universities. It will provide new visions in education. In addition, this symposium will bring insights to global issues such as the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, particularly SDGs 4th, quality education, is closely connected to the theme, demonstrating great perspective and the sustainable spirit of this symposium. As partner of Moscow City University and also a co-organizer, University of Taipei is proud and delighted to participate in this event. I would like to express my sincere congratulations, and the last, I wish a great success and health to all participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sabina, for this welcoming speech. Unfortunately, the rector of our university, Igor Mikhailovich Marenko, is at a meeting in the Ministry of Education. If he can get online, he'll do that as soon as he can. In the meantime, I would like to turn the floor over to the head of the management department of the Moscow City Pedagogical University, Daria Alexandrovna Milyaeva. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody, and I'm so glad to welcome you here to our platform, and I would like to thank the international partners, the Taipei City University and the Dublin City University, for their support in the organization of this event. For 3 days now, we were going to be having a spectacular discussion within the framework of this symposium. We'll speak about the role of university in the city, and the role of students and in schools, well, in many countries as participants of this organization, of this process. There'll be a very interesting discussion indeed. We will talk about various levels of education, beginning from kindergarten and elementary school all the way to high school and senior citizens. We will publish the results of this symposium, and we will publish the results of the process of the university in 4 countries. So we will hope that the symposium of this year will grant us new ideas and new ways to participate. Well, we're welcoming all of you here. Thank you, Daria Alexandrovna. Igor Mikhailovich is still not here, but we'd like to support Daria Alexandrovna in her saying that every participant will not only be able to present the results of his research and perhaps put up some questions for discussion, but he'll also find the sections, the activities that may indeed be interesting. And our symposium, even though it's taking place online, will have different types of activities: panel discussions, plenary sessions, master classes, and even battling. So we are inviting you to actively participate in the discussion of what will be presented here, and each of you will be able to find precisely the event that is interesting for him and that will be comfortable for him in terms of timing. As a result of the symposium, well, in the online mode, we'll be able to publish the sessions, the results of the sessions, and those of you unable for one reason or another to participate online in a symposium session will be able to check out these materials later on. So what I also want to say, I want to ask, I want to tell the participants that there's going to be a big journal published, a big book published with the results of your research. So please remember that and take part. It will be perhaps interesting for you not only to get listeners acquainted with your information online, but in a way that is more comprehensive, to be able to present them to a broader audience in a formal book, well, part of this book. So I'm really happy to have met you all and to start this symposium. And in 25 minutes, I would like to invite you to the first plenary session that will take part here, and that will be about the role of university in the city. You can go by the links, by the references that we have here. That there's a separate link in YouTube for each of them. So we're waiting for you. Thank you very much, and we're waiting for you to get on.